Yep. We can't hear you because the clock's on, but right when we go live, everyone can hear you. Five, four, three, two, one.
Hello, welcome back. This is the Pat McAfee Show. Obviously, I say welcome back. I hosted Pat's show for him months ago, actually pre-COVID, while he was on a trip with his lady. Right now, he's out rummaging around the country trying to get a tux for his wedding that is coming up this weekend, actually, August 1st. So congrats to Pat and Sam on that. I hope all your preparations are going well. We have a big show for you today. I'll be sitting in for Pat all day, 10 to 12 Eastern here. Today we got Andrew Brandt coming on the show, 10:40. He's been on the show a bunch of times. Andrew was actually in the front office with the Green Bay Packers for a long time. Actually, when I got drafted there, Andrew was around for a while, so I've known him. It'll be good to catch up with him. And Michael Lombardi will be coming on at 11:30 Eastern here. Michael, another guy who is always on the show. I think it's perfect for Michael to come on today. We as of right now, as of 10 o'clock a.m. Eastern, we have 5 Patriots players that have already opted out of their contract. They're going to sit out this season due to different reasons with the COVID situation swirling around. But let's make sure we try to give some credit to all the boys back in the studio. I don't know if they'll turn the cameras on them. We're doing this remotely today, obviously, but welcome. I want to welcome all the boys in the studio and see how everybody's doing today.
Hey, H, how are you?
Can anyone else see you? First off, I just see your the picture you put up of me from my freshman year of high school down here on the thumbnail. I really appreciate you guys picking out the good ones for me.
That's Zito, and he was attempting to talk to Dawn in California because I don't think Dawn can hear you, but he could hear us in the studio. So Zito was dealing with some technical stuff, but I believe Zito is also running the cameras today, so he will be dealing with all of that, as well as the bottom line, as well as the graphics.
Atta baby Z. Atta baby Z. Hey, here you go, Z.
Man, someone better get an ambulance on standby. He's already running around back there. Look at him. This is a scary situation. He already has enough on his plate, guys. We got to figure out how to make his life easier. So, Zeke, I'm sorry. Sorry if me hosting the show, especially remote from Ohio, really puts your heart at risk or your brain, man. You already have so many things happening, but I appreciate the hard work from all you guys. Where'd you find this picture? You get just a simple Google search, I'm guessing?
I would assume so.
I think it's one of the first pictures that pops up if you just search AJ Hawk High School.
Yeah, also, I'm pretty sure when you just search high school football in general, that's like the first photo that pops up.
That probably should be, I guess. It's yeah, back to look at you trying to bowl my neck. I'm trying to bowl my neck to have a bigger neck and traps, and then you just get giant shoulder pads with tiny little baby arms, and you look terrible. So yeah, that's pretty much my high school life.
How old were you there? 8?
Unfortunately, I think I was probably 14. I was probably going into my freshman year, I think.
What year in high school for you was it like, holy hell, look at that kid's chin. He's definitely going to the NFL.
I don't think that ever happened in high school. I don't. I think that only happened once Pat came along and started talking about my jaw and my chin, all of it. So in high school, I feel like I was awkward. You're all gangly, especially early on. When you're like 13, 14, 15 years old, you're trying to grow into your body. You're just all gangly and weird looking. Face is all awkward. Your neck is tiny. Your head is big. It's just not a great time, I guess, when it comes to your physical appearance. When you're like 13 through 16, I feel like it's a weird kind of a growing pains time.
Yeah, see, mine lasted till 25. Not all of us are AJ freaking Hawk, but okay, whatever, man.
Well, you look good. You look great now, Connor.
Hey, you look fantastic.
What's going on with Zito? We got anything cleared up?
He's still wearing several hats in the back room.
Oh, you can hear him.
I think you can hear me. Yeah, everything's good. Begin the show. No one could hear you. That was a problem.
Nobody could hear me.
Yeah, but now we fixed it. We're good.
Oh, good. It was not a good intro anyway. So I'm glad it was pretty bad. And Zeke, I see you running around the back. You all right? You okay, man?
I'm doing good. I'm sweating. I'm losing some weight, so that's good.
Oh gosh. Well, I know I mentioned that we have Andrew Brandt and Michael Lombardi coming on the show. Well, I mean, we have to start it right off the top, man. 5 Patriots players opting out. I think the biggest one that caught my attention is Dante Hightower. Just recently has said that he is going to opt out of this season. He has a 2-week-old baby with his fiance right now, and his quote is something saying like we're worried about our lives outside of football more than we are what's going on the field, something like that. I thought that's a huge deal, and I instantly thought of Connor back there. Ugh. And Connor, I'm wondering, is this a good thing for you or a bad thing? With all these guys opting out, yes, you're losing some stud players that you have to replace, and you already lost some other stud players to free agency. But is it a good thing? Is this spin zone for you because they're opening up cap space?
Definitely the spin zone I'm going with. Marcus Cannon, a big offensive lineman for us. Him leaving spin zone, obviously Cam Newton, he can move around. But for me, the biggest worry is Hightower's a captain, right? So for a team, if you're on that team and you see a captain not play, is that going to trickle down to the rest of the team, you think? Or by this point, have they already kind of known about this for a week and they're just kind of now reporting it?
I mean, I don't know. I wonder how much dialogue he has had back and forth with Bill Belichick and the rest of the team. I'm sure his teammates, especially the guys that he's really close with, I'm sure he's been texting with them throughout, probably like, hey, man, what are you thinking? What do you think going into this year? And he's probably, when they ask him, hey, Dante, what are you thinking? I bet a couple of teammates were a little bit surprised when he said, you know what, I'm not sure, man. I got a little baby on the way, which the baby's 2 weeks old now. This could go back months, maybe 2 or 3 months. He's been thinking about this, I'm guessing. But you're right. With the captain thing, there's always like the intangibles and then the tangibles you have. Hightower has all the tangibles. He's big, strong, fast, violent, is a solid tackler, especially in the open field, can cover anybody. You can put him on the line, rush like an outside back, or put him in the middle. He can do everything, but he has all the intangibles. Like you said, he's a captain. He's the leader of that defense. He calls the defense for them. Yep. And, oh, by the way, you lost Kyle Van Noy and Jamie Collins in free agency as well. So you're replacing pretty much that whole linebacking core, and you're replacing the guy that made it all happen, the guy that lined you up and got everyone situated. But I'm sure, like anybody else, you feel like, okay, if anybody can handle it, don't you think the Bill Belichick-led Patriots can handle this?
Absolutely, without a question. I mean, it's not as if I have wavered in any sense. The Patriots are still going to win the Super Bowl this year. But on the opposite side, Dan Vitale, also fullback we just got from the Packers, he also opted out. So my question for you, AJ, if you were on the Patriots, we don't have a fullback anymore, linebacker, fullback, very similar position. Are you hopping over to the other side of the ball, maybe playing both ways and sticking your face in a couple holes?
I'm trying to do both. Yeah, I'm trying to play both ways. What's Landon Roberts? Isn't he the guy that went both ways last year?
Yeah, we also lost him. Thank you for reminding me.
Did he go to Miami? Is that right?
I think so. A lot of those guys loved Flores.
Age.
Yes. What's up?
Do you think 5 Patriots players came out this morning? Then there's been others trickling from others team, but there hasn't been multiple from one team or another team yet. It seems like
5 Patriots players opted out.
Do you think they
players didn't come out this morning?
4 in a practice squad,
right?
Yeah.
Do you think they had a call yesterday or something, like a team meeting where they all had this conversation that they all decided to the news all came out today?
I don't know, man. So it's July 28th right now. The deadline to opt out. There's two different deadlines. What are they? There's an August 3rd deadline and August 1st. Do we know?
I think Nick said this morning, August 3rd, I believe, is the official one.
Can confirm.
I don't know. I think it might have been kind of an individual thing. I don't know if they called a team meeting, or I don't know if these players told the team maybe a couple of days ago they're all opting out, and then the team decided to kind of put it out now. It doesn't seem that way. It seems like it's just kind of trickling out as they go, because I'm sure this is a decision to make. Like, these guys making this decision, I'm sure they didn't take it lightly. It's something you had to talk to a lot of people about, talk to your family and friends, all your coaches, and see, like, hey, man, like, I'm just letting you know my real concerns I have for this season. And that's what it seems like to me. So I would bet they all kind of trickled in. And I think, obviously, these aren't the last guys to opt out. Andre Smith, he just opted out too, didn't he?
Yeah. Do you think that everything happening with like the Miami Marlins and the MLB, that was kind of one of the things that pushed a lot of these guys to say, like, all right, they still haven't really figured things out. I don't feel comfortable. I don't feel safe doing this.
Oh, I'm sure. Don't you think once they saw what happened in baseball, guys that were on the fence thinking like, okay, I'm going to go back in there at least the first couple of days and see what the protocols are, what the testing is like. Let me go in the facility, see if I feel safe, especially coming home at night to my family and some people with newborns and other people with issues. And then I guess once this baseball dilemma hits and 40% of the Marlins roster test positive with a couple of coaches as well, that had to be the tipping point for some people. And maybe that's the tipping point for some other people as well that were on the fence and thought, well, I'm going to go give it a shot. Maybe that will deter them. I still don't see people like opting out in droves. I don't think this is going to be the case where we have so many guys on every team opting out. We have right now we have 5 Patriots players opting out. Is there still only 4 others around the league?
Yeah, as of right now, I don't think anyone else in the last like 20 minutes has come out besides Andre Smith.
There will be, by the time this show is over today. How many? Okay, what's the over-under? How many more guys do you think will opt out before 12 o'clock Eastern today?
I wouldn't be surprised if it was around like 5 a team.
5 a team? You mean total once it all said and done before August 3rd?
Yeah. Or does that seem like too many?
I don't know, because I didn't think there would be 5 on one team, let alone there's already 5 on the Patriots now. So I think I even said on this show on McAfee and Hawk that it would be maybe a handful of guys or 10 or under throughout the whole league that opted out. That was my guess. I didn't know. So obviously I was way wrong, and we'll see. I guess we have until August 3rd to see how players feel. But so I guess it's going to be weird to see how some players go in, because today is the day where guys are officially going in. But didn't they start getting tested yesterday too?
Yeah, I believe it was quarterbacks and rookies have already been getting tested. But as far as I knew, that today was the initial report date to get tested for the rest of the team.
Okay. So, yeah, we'll see. Some guys I bet will go in there, and either they're going to be reassured that, yeah, I feel safe, I feel good about what we're doing, what the league's doing, what my team's doing to protect me, or guys are going to go the other way and be like, no, we have not figured this thing out. I don't feel safe, and they're going to get out of there and get – what's the different pay scales? You can get, $350K if you're high risk?
Yep.
You get $150 if you just opt out at some point, and is there a $250,000 option as well?
All I've seen right now is the $150 if you opt out and not are high risk, and then $350 if you're high risk. But my thing, like Hightower, I could see because he just had a baby or whatever, and he's made money in his career. But a lot of the other guys haven't made money in their career yet. So like I always thought that the money would trump possibly the risk of getting the COVID for these players. But like in the case of the Patriots, it doesn't seem that way as of right now.
It doesn't. And I think David Sampson said yesterday, like, if you're making a ton of money and you have made a bunch of money in your career, how much easier is it for you to opt out than somebody, say, playing on their first contract that may become a free agent for the first time after this season? Like, how is that guy going to opt out? You're stuck in a real pickle, as they say. If you're about to become a free agent, you haven't signed a giant deal yet, you're a really good player, but you're really worried about your health and safety. Like, what do you do, man? Would you guys play?
Hell yeah. every single down. But AJ, for something like this, for Marcus Cannon, Dante Hightower, massive parts of the team, if they come back next year, does this affect chemistry at all? Like a guy like David Andrews, right? He's a center. He sat out last season because he had blood clots in his lungs. Obviously a high risk, and he's still playing. Like, does that affect how he kind of thinks about Marcus Cannon in any way, or no?
I don't think so. I think guys that have been, maybe people that haven't met these players, like say you're a rookie and you come in and you play this whole season, Dante Hightower and Cannon aren't there. Then all of a sudden, next offseason, they decide to come back. I guess you have to kind of make up your own. You have to figure out once you see them how they interact with the other teammates. If you've never played with them, but guys that have played with them, they know what those guys have done. They know what Hightower's got 3 rings. The guy makes gigantic plays in Super Bowls all the time in the biggest moments in the playoffs. I don't think it changes anything like that. And I think guys are mature about things like this, where they're like, you know what, this isn't time to sit here and say, oh, what are you doing? You're a baby. Why are you opting out? I think guys truly understand. They say, hey, I may feel somewhat safe, but I'm not Dante Hightower. I'm not Marcus Cannon. I'm not these guys. I don't know what their situation is like. If my situation was different, maybe I would feel different about what I'm doing this year playing football in the NFL. I mean, that's the plan right now. I don't think when they come back it changes a whole lot, honestly, especially if you've made plays, if you're a veteran presence in that locker room and you have been for a long time, like you mentioned, Hightower's a captain. You're fine. I don't think teammates have any issue with it.
How much of an impact does it have when a guy like Mahomes comes out and says that he's comfortable with like the plan the Chiefs have in place? Now, granted, I know like every team, their IDER plan is maybe a little bit different, but don't you think that sways a lot of guys who are maybe on the fence to be like, okay, well, if it's good enough for Patrick Mahomes, it's probably good enough for us?
Absolutely. Don't you think? So Patrick Mahomes, I actually got to see him out in Lake Tahoe at that golf event I was at. An awesome dude. He and Kelsey both awesome. Like, you understand when you're around him for a little bit, when you're around Patrick Mahomes, like, oh, I get it. I understand how he rallies his team from they could be behind 21 points. I understand how Patrick Mahomes how Mahomes breeds confidence in everyone around him. I just saw that at a charity golf tournament. Like, he has that presence about him. So for him to come out and say that when he's the face of the league right now, the reigning MVP, Super Bowl champ, I think it does help a lot. I think the NFL and Roger Goodell had to be very happy when Patrick Mahomes decided to come out and say how safe he felt with Kansas City's protocols. But we all know, though, from facility to facility around the NFL, everyone's not going to have the same standards in the protocols that they follow, I think. And I guess once we're like 7, 8, 10 days into camp, then we'll truly see, like, okay, what teams are doing the best job of mitigating risk and trying to make sure that they do whatever they possibly can to keep these players safe, one, and to have a full NFL season.
Yeah, there's going to be teams that just have no idea what they're doing as far as protocols and stuff like that. And you asked us, AJ, if we're going to play. Yeah, we're going to say yes because we're idiots and we don't have a lot to do. Mm-hmm. But was there ever like a single season where maybe you were having kids and stuff like that you potentially would have thought about taking the opt-out?
You mean like if I was playing now?
Yeah. Or if this was going on during your career?
I try to put myself in a time when I would opt out, I guess, and when I wouldn't play. And I don't know. I don't know if I would have. I think it would have to be some big time family issues for me. My wife would have to have some kind of immune disorder or something, or it would have to put my kids at risk for me to actually opt out and not play a full NFL season when I was healthy and able to do it. But like, by saying that, though, I don't claim to know what anyone else's situation is like, and I don't claim to understand anything that's going on right now. So it's just my individual view, and I respect everybody else's opinion and whatever they feel is right for them and their family and their safety. But we're gonna have to get to a break here. The number, if you guys want to call in, we'll take some calls eventually in the show. 1-833-622-3331. This is the Pat McAfee Show. I'm AJ Hawk. Come on back.
Click, clack.
He's saying don't go off the top, it's too shallow.
All you're going to hear this stadium do is they put the big paw up, they start shaking it, they go, whoa. Hey, what things are going good, Mason? Yeah, he loves the defensive side of the ball. He said yesterday to me that this is a blue-collar team. They win it on special teams. They have 5 block kicks this season. The defensive side of the ball, Lynch leads the Big 12 in sacks. But also on the offensive side, Denzel Mims is an absolute animal. He is a weapon. Charlie Brewer, the quarterback from Lake Travis. His dad was a quarterback in Texas. His grandpa was a quarterback in Texas. And the people here in Waco just so happen to get a chance to see Charlie Brewer on a daily basis. Hey. Yeah, boomer here is going to mean a little bit different than what it means on the internet currently. And hopefully here in Baylor, they hope they're not hearing a lot of boomer sooner. Everybody wants to be a punter, including quarterbacks. If I was a quarterback, I'd want to be a punter as well. 0 yards on that punt. It's an embarrassing situation. The Dak dance that gets on national television has led to a lot of losses, but you got to respect the hips being able to. What sign am I going to make for college game day? Well, I want to make something creative. I want to make something fun. No, to hell with it. I don't like OU. It's so thick. Look how thick that thing is. That's years and years of patience. You're heading right for the boat. Right now? Okay, let's do it. And we are out here on the Brazos River, which you can take a boat to the game. One of the only stadiums in the country that you can do that. It's beautiful out here. A lot of people would say, this is the last time I'm going to be on game day. The last time I allegedly did what I'm about to do, I ended up in a jail cell. Let's go! The poop kicker's getting way down there. A lot higher than I thought.
You look like Ric Flair. That was a sellout, by the way. That was beautiful.
Do we have any other shirts? Yeah, hold on.
You need to go get changed before you get sick.
Great work, I'm actually not that cold. Hey, I went for
1 minute.
chest hurt. It was like 5 feet. I was standing there. That's full commitment, by the way.
"30 seconds." "10 seconds." 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Here we are live. I'm AJ Hawk, sitting in for Pat McAfee. This is the Pat McAfee Show. The number is 1-833-622-3331 if you want to call in. We've been talking a little bit about some of the Patriots players opting out. Dante Hightower is the most recent one, I guess. I guess the biggest name, biggest star from the league right now, I think, that has decided to opt out of this season due to COVID and issues that he has surrounding his family and his newborn child that's only 2 weeks old. So congratulations to him and his family. That's it's awesome. But I wanted to get out to the callers, actually. Let's, Connor, can we dial up Benjamin in North Carolina?
Oh, yeah, Ben, you're on, brother.
Hey, AJ. Hey, boys. Hey, with all this
What's up, Ben?
cancellation and everything like that, I wanted to talk about something a little bit better. One, appreciate all the support you guys do for the military. I'm about to roll out for deployment myself, so do one of the last episodes I hear for a minute. With the sport teams getting expanded, which city do you see needing a sports team that doesn't have a single sports team in all the major 4 sports? I mean, if it was me, I would do Virginia Beach having a baseball team. Wanted to get your guys' opinion on that. Thanks.
Oh, thank you for the call, Ben. Jeez. So, Connor, I heard you laughing in the background. What's going on, man? Why are you laughing?
I wasn't laughing. That was all Tony. I love the expansion.
Well, first
question.
off, I just want to say good luck deploying.
Yeah, thank you for your service.
Thank you. Thank you, Benjamin.
Thank you, sir.
Well, I just didn't have a map in front of me to
what?
To look at all the cities
to look
that
at all
don't
the
have
cities
teams.
that don't have teams that should have a team.
Well, let's think of it. Think of it right now. Where he mentioned Virginia Beach having a baseball team. I'm not sure. Is there something I'm missing? I don't know. Like, why does Virginia Beach need a team?
I don't know. I feel like DC is pretty close to Virginia Beach.
Yeah, true. I mean, Des Moines, Iowa is probably the number one
There you
answer
go.
here.
Oh, there it
used
is.
to have
Des
the
Moines,
barn.
Iowa. Why do you say that?
Well, used to have the Barnstormers. I mean, Kurt Warner, lit the world on fire and then kind of went under. And they have a AAA team. Des Moines, a nice big metropolis, small enough, but people in Iowa don't have a pro sports team. I think they'd really come together over that.
Well, you're right. And what sucks is that the Iowa football program has taken some heat lately as well. I know they had to fire or move on from their longtime strength coach, Kirk Ferentz, however you say it, is getting some heat, I guess. Like, where are we at right now with the Iowa football situation? Do you guys know?
It's not great. I saw it was the the top story on ESPN.com. I don't know. I mean, a lot of accusations and kind of the same stuff coming out. So, yeah, it's not good. So, new sports franchise coming to let people think about something else other than that. That'd be great.
AJ, actually, Virginia Beach is the third largest city without a professional sports team.
So Ben from North Carolina was right, wasn't he?
Austin, Texas will be number 2.
Austin, don't you think? Yeah, Austin. I mean, you can't even call Austin up and coming anymore. Austin's at the point to where people are saying it's ruined. Like, too many people have moved in.
Really?
Does that support a sports team? I mean, I'm not saying it is ruined. It's
Well,
still an amazing
isn't-
spot, but people that have been there for a long time, I know it's like anywhere else, like Nashville. Like, there's people are moving to Nashville, by the thousands. It seems like. I think Austin's a similar situation.
It isn't Texas a professional sports team?
Yeah.
Yeah, Texas has plenty of professional sports teams, but still, Texas is a pretty
No, I mean
big state.
I mean the University of Texas for Austin.
Good point. True.
That's on me though. I'm just saying.
Well, it's like Tuscaloosa. Like, you're not going to put an NFL team in Tuscaloosa just because Bama's got it all covered already. But what about Columbus, Ohio? Why aren't we talking about Columbus as the next place for an expansion team in the NFL?
Well, they
have an NHL team.
so
yeah, well, they need an NFL
And-
team.
No, you're wrong. They have Ohio State. Ohio State is the pro team, but they have the Bengals about an hour and 20 minutes away, and the Browns
yeah.
about 2 hours away.
Oh,
So-
and everyone loves rooting for those two teams. Those are the cream of the crop when it comes to the NFL.
So then why are you going to put a third team in there to split them up between those two? It'd be a fourth team, really, because people are Ohio State fans. People are either Browns or Bengals fans. Like, they're all torn. If you're from like where Charles Woodson's from, Fremont, Ohio, it's Ohio, but it's pretty close to Michigan. Like, Charles, and he went to Michigan. Charles grew up, I think, a Michigan fan anyway. Where he's at up there's a lot of Michigan fans and different people. So it depends on where you are in Ohio. But let me ask you guys this question and see if any of the callers have any ideas either. If let's say there's an expansion NFL team that has to come out next year. Next year there's going to be a new city, a new team in America though. We're not talking about putting a London team or whatever like they may do in the future. What would be the best city right now for an expansion NFL team to come to in 2021?
Louisville, Kentucky.
Why you say that?
It's a pretty big city. There's no professional sports teams. Their college team not that big. Louisville, Kentucky.
Do you think Papa John Schnatter would
Yes.
buy the team?
He could. He absolutely could.
Could he? Since he's been pushed off the board and everything, whatever he's doing now with Papa John's, you think he still has the cash to do
he's
it?
got so much cash, and he is basically. It would just be another Dan Snyder, I believe, in the league. So I don't know if we want that or not.
Yeah. Diggs, would you still say Ty, would you still say Des Moines, Iowa?
Yeah. Keep it up there. Maybe Helena, Montana.
Oh, yeah.
That would be
that's
awesome.
the answer.
That'd be a sweet stadium.
Yep.
Granted, you might have a tough time filling that place up, but that'd be pretty awesome.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know.
I mean, how many
I don't
people-
know. Are they going to make when will we see the next expansion team in the NFL?
Haven't they been talking about San Antonio for quite some time now?
But I think
Maybe, man. I guess Texas gets it all, don't they?
Would you go back to San Diego or St. Louis?
Yeah, I'd go back to San Diego right away. But I think the Chargers should go back to San Diego eventually. Like, don't you think it just seems right?
It would feel weird putting a new team in San Diego with the Chargers still being in the league. Like, it would just be easier just to move them back and build a new stadium.
Yeah, like if a team goes back to San Diego, like I would imagine it has to be the Chargers. I wouldn't want to see another team, like a new expansion team, go to San Diego and be like, oh, here's our new San Diego Tomcats. Like, what are you going to do?
no, we can't. You can't do that at all.
I mean, that's not going to happen, though, until that cheapskate Dean Spanos moves on. He's not building a new stadium.
And that's the truth. But do you think that there's going to be an international team before we see another expansion team in America?
No, I mean, wouldn't you think if there was plans in place to start that international team that this whole COVID situation really slowed that process down?
Yeah.
Yeah, I just figured they'd probably just ship the entire Jaguar organization overseas and then just call it quits on them, and who cares?
Yeah, I mean, I can see that happening. I have to. Sorry, I had breaking news. I got a text that just came in from one Patrick McAfee, wherever he is, traveling the globe right now. I said, I don't know if he wants this out there or not, but he texts me, says, "Feel free to apologize for calling me a baby." So I would like to take this opportunity to absolutely not apologize.
Oh,
for
jeez.
calling him a baby. He was upset. He was upset at me. He was upset at everybody. It seemed like mainly me, really, but because of this whole situation with the Adam Cole the Adam Cole guy who was in studio with him, and no disrespect to Adam Cole. I mean, I guess if you had to grade like who won that confrontation, who would you guys say?
AJ.
I mean, gosh darn
AJ,
it,
come on.
AJ McGregor over here. Obviously, Pat did. What the hell
what
is
are
going
we
on?
talking about here? We know who did. But also, hey, Pat also put in the chat, like, now that these Patriots players are opting out, I believe that cap space is cleared. So, like, they could sign, like, he put Clay Matthews' name in there. He put Clowney's name in there.
$22 million, I think, already is cleared right now with their 5 players out.
Yeah, there's plenty of money to make moves now. Do you think that Belichick is on the horn calling Clowney and trying to get him up to New England?
I think whoever Belichick wants, if he does want Clowney, I think he would be super smart to go after, like you said, Clay Matthews. Clay's not with the team right now. Clay can still play. He was having a hell of a year last year until he broke his jaw. I think he had 7.5 sacks with a broken jaw, and he missed games last year. So he could still play. You wouldn't have to pay him astronomical money to come in. Clowney's money, I don't know what that's going to look like, but it looks like the Patriots have space now to bring him in. So, man, it's a weird deal. Like with the Patriots, are they always going to have this aura about them that no matter what happens, it's almost like Belichick's behind the scenes pulling the strings to make these things happen?
Yeah, I don't think the dynasty's ever going to die, AJ. I think you have a great point there. And at this point, we could all get Clay Matthews and Clowney, and that would free up more space for us to move a few linebackers into the middle now that Dante Hightower's gone.
Hell, you might be able to even sign Antonio Brown again if he gets cleared, right?
Say it ain't so! Say it ain't so, AJ!
Hey, Connor, you'd be happy to hear. I forget what I was listening to yesterday, some kind of sports podcast somewhere, and they were talking up Jared Stidham. They were like, hey, man, like, we understand Cam Newton, how dynamic he is, how great he can be. But they said, I don't think people are giving Stidham enough credit for how good this guy could be. Like, do you think eventually Stidham is going to be the man?
I think he is getting education between two of the better quarterbacks in NFL history, Tom Brady and Cam Newton. Obviously, Brady, he learned a lot about throwing. I think Cam Newton, he's going to learn a lot about being a mobile quarterback because Stidham does have the wheels. But, I mean, who cares if we have Cam Newton for the next 5 years? We're never going to see Stidham in a Pats uniform playing, so whatever.
Man, I can't wait to talk to Michael Lombardi. We'll have him on at 11:30 today. See what he thinks about the Cam Newton situation. I'm curious about Steve Belichick as well on the staff. Like, is he being groomed to become the next Bill Belichick? I hope Lombardi will speak on that a little bit, even though I know Lombardi's son is on the staff too as a coach there in New England.
Wide receivers.
I believe still. And Andrew Brandt will be coming on here at 10:40. Connor, I wanted to go out to another caller if you can. And you know what, Connor? Actually, I don't know if there's any new ones or not. I want you to pick the best one that you think works for us right now in the show.
Terrible idea for the show, but I guess I will go to Justin in South Carolina. He still has a qualm with the Panthers' ownership about Cam Newton.
What's up, Justin?
What's up, AJ, man? What's going on, boys?
What's up, dude?
Doing it, Justin.
You're just doing it. Justin, what are you? You're a Panthers guy?
David Temper. He's the worst NFL owner in the league. He's a brand new owner, like 2 years. I want him gone. He sucks. How do you get rid of Cam Newton? 2015, he takes us to the Super Bowl MVP season. He's a monster, okay? He gets hurt for 2 years. Okay, so we give him away for nothing at all. Don't get nothing in return for him, and we pay Teddy Bridgewater the same exact money. Teddy Bridgewater broke his leg in practice. We're talking about practice. Whole knee discombobulated in practice. And you know who picks him up? the greatest GM, greatest coach ever in NFL. That's all, and for $1 million. And now they're about to get Clowney. And now it's like, do I even want to be a Panthers fan, or is it more like the NBA, and I just want to be a Players fan?
Hey, Justin, I got a question for you. Are you more upset that the Patriots got Cam, or are you more upset that Cam is not in Carolina anymore?
I'm more upset that he's not in Carolina no more. Like, now I want either the Tampa Bay Buccaneers to win the Super Bowl or the Patriots. Like, that's who I like. I don't even want to pull for the Panthers. We got rid of Thomas Davis. He tore his ACL 3 times, and after the 3rd time, it was like 3 times the charm. He became a Pro Bowler every year. Like, and then you just fire Ron Rivera, and now look at what Ron Rivera's doing. He is, like, totally rebuilding the Redskins organization, like, complete.
Well, how do you feel? Okay, Justin, how do you feel about Matt Rule? Do you think that was a good hire? Because everyone seems like he seems to be a guy that can come in, he's no nonsense, and can get it done.
I think he disconnected. But actually, to his point, how much is it on Matt Rule that he was like, I don't really want to continue with Cam Newton. I'd rather start my own thing with Teddy
Also,
Bridgewater.
the players he was talking about, them getting rid of, they had 3 ACL. Cam was hurt and lost his last 8 games in Carolina, like in the new regime. I don't know.
Well, yeah,
I don't think that guy's a real fan.
Yeah, that's why I had to ask him. Like, are you just upset that Cam went to New England, or are you more upset that he's not there? And what if Teddy Bridgewater comes in and just lights it up this year? Is Justin in South Carolina going to be okay?
I would hope so. I would assume so. Like, I personally, if they're both 100%, is Cam a better quarterback? Yeah. But are you willing to roll the dice on Cam being 100% healthy over? Yeah, Teddy had 1 freak injury, but he's been fine since.
But isn't it crazy how much Teddy's stock rose from? How many games did he play in last year when he replaced Drew?
5, I think.
Right? Yeah, were they 4-1?
5 games.
I think he went 5-0.
If he didn't play any of those games, what would his contract have looked like? Wherever he signed,
not much.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing that small sample size. And I know Teddy has started before. I played against Teddy. Dude's he's tough to stop when he's rolling, especially when he's healthy and he can run around the pocket and keep his eyes downfield, make plays happen. It's not easy to stop him when he's on fire. But man, 5 games really jump-started that dude's career. Gave him another boost, I guess, in his career. Now at least has a chance. It's up to him to prove that he is the guy that Carolina hopes that he thinks he is. I mean, they got McAfee too, so that can't hurt.
Yeah, let's be honest. They brought him in
just to hand the ball off to him. That guy's going to get 6,000 carries and catches this year, and hopefully they don't run him into the ground.
They're going to. They brought him in just to hand the ball off and throw dump passes and swing passes to McCaffrey.
And then Bridgewater was 5-0. He threw for 68%, 1,400 yards, 9 touchdowns, and 2 interceptions in those 5 games. So not bad.
How much does it have to do with the fact that Teddy's coming from the Saints system and Joe Brady is already kind of he knows that system already?
I mean, that definitely helps. That 100% helps, especially this kind of offseason with COVID and the virtual learning that they have done. Yeah, that's somewhat of a big deal. And Joe Brady, with what he did at LSU especially, you kidding me? That dude's like the wonder child, the wonder kid now. He's a young dude, young offensive-minded dude and we know those are the guys getting paid right now. Those are the guys that people want to bring in and use their brain. So, hey, more power to them. Do it while you can right now, because who knows if it's going to make a shift back to more of a defensive coaching aspect eventually in the league. I don't see it happening anytime soon. But I think right now the offensive guys are the ones that people want to go after. But, Zito, you guys got to read. You got to do, don't you, before we take a break?
Yes, we do. Go ahead, Ty.
Here's the thing about home security companies. Most trap you with high prices, tricky contracts, and lousy customer support. So while there are a lot of options out there, there's only one no-brainer. SimpliSafe.
Yeah.
SimpliSafe's got everything you need to protect your home with none of the drawbacks of traditional home security. It's got an arsenal of sensors and cameras to blanket every room, window, and door tailored specifically for your home. Professional monitoring keeps watch day and night, ready to send police, fire, or medical professionals if there's an emergency. You can set it up yourself in under an hour. Just peel and stick the sensors exactly where you need them. No technician required, and there's no contract, no pushy sales guys, no hidden fees, and no fine print. All this starts at just $15 a month. And we're not the only ones who think SimpliSafe is great. U.S. News & World Report named it the best overall home security of 2020. Try SimpliSafe today at simplisafe.com/Pat. and you get free shipping and a 60-day risk-free trial. There's nothing to lose. That's simplysafe.com/Pat.
All right, appreciate it, Ty. We're going to head off to a quick break before we get back with the great Andrew Brandt. This is the Pat McAfee Show. I'm AJ Hawk. Come on back.
Hi, how's it going? My name is Pat McAfee. Used to hold balls for Adam Vinatieri. Now I'm in his home state. College game day is absolutely electric. And Brookings, let's go!
College game day has made the voyage to Brookings, South Dakota to experience a game with the best fans in college football. I unfortunately cannot attend because I have a game this Sunday, so I sent a man I trust to make my picks. A man who is my holder for almost a decade. Please be nice to him. Welcome this week's celebrity guest picker, Pat McAfee.
Go big, go blue, go Jacks.
Hosting Auburn. Yes, everybody saw this. The best fake punt in the world. What do you think, Pat?
I absolutely loved it all the way up until execution time. That is not one we like to show in the brand headquarters and punting and kicking world.
Oh, dance off. Oh, let's get weird. Yes. Duck that, huh?
Bang! Right off the top of the dome. That makes it a lot easier when you got a dummy standing right in front of you like that.
Running. He's Hayden Daniel Russo.
Wax on, wax off, knee to the face.
World Series.
Go, go, yes.
These teams stink. With that 15, they celebrate by doing shotguns. And I know they figured it out. I'm going with the University of Virginia Cavaliers. That was great. Whoa! I will never, ever in the history of my life cut against that ball. Oklahoma State is the way here. Not so fast again.
But I'm going with Trey.
Please excuse my dumb friend Kirk. Look at this crowd. They've been out here since 4 a.m. College game day comes to town. They lose their mind. The population of this state is about 800,000. And when the Jackrabbits take the field, they're alongside all 800,000 South Dakotans. The Dakota marker was in Fargo for far too long. Today, 5 o'clock local time, the Dakota marker is back in beautiful Brookings, South Dakota. Terry School. They might be the Jackrabbits, but they're the GOATs today. Ladies and gentlemen, South Dakota State with the win.
Give me that place in.
No, don't do that. No, leave. Coach.
has the Pat says it'll be no.
I told you I came on your radio show that we were going to get you on college game day.
Not only are you incredibly intelligent and handsome, you're a man of your word. You picked North Dakota today, so I had to bury you.
That's okay.
But it's been nothing but incredible. The college game day crew is hospitable. In South Dakota State, I think we can all agree, they showed up here.
Yeah.
But I loved it. I've watched the show, obviously, forever. And it's on in every single NFL locker room. My coaches are. So this is a big-time deal for me, my family, my friends.
All right, I'm back in the day here. Appreciate you, boys.
It's from the training room at the Colts. AJ Watt tweeted. I get texts from every human that I've ever done television with, like since way back in the day. They're like, we knew this day would come. Equipment managers, old teammates. I mean, you don't get to trend on Twitter often anymore. They make it damn near impossible. Go up onto a stage with a couple legends, talk some shit in front of the incredible South Dakota fans. What an awesome opportunity.
coming up on Saturday, August 1st. So hopefully that tailor can get that stuff situated pretty quickly and get that V taper cut into his jacket as quickly as possible so Pat can look good up there at the altar. But good luck to Pat and Sam, and congratulations. We're all anxiously awaiting your nuptials and can't wait till you guys get to celebrate on Saturday night. But we're going to have Andrew Brandt join us here shortly. I want to ask Zito, do we have him yet? I know we're having some connection issue.
It looks like we do not have him yet. We tried calling him. He was taking a jog, so he's a triathlon guy, I guess. So
yeah.
He's doing a triathlon when he's supposed to be on a show. So we'll see what happens.
Well, that's definitely not the truth.
Just a little flex. He's just flexing on us a little bit, isn't he?
Yeah. So the FaceTime audio is not working, so we're calling him via the phone. AJ, huge
FaceTime video.
Will he be running during this interview?
More than likely.
Well, his resting heart rate is probably 13 because the guy's in such good shape doing triathlon, so he should be fine.
Breaking news, by the way, AJ.
What's that?
Great breaking news, in my opinion. No one on the Philadelphia Phillies tested positive for COVID-19.
Yeah! Baseball!
So are they back in play? Are the Phillies playing?
They should.
Tonight's game has been
Yankees.
canceled, but then they're going to New York to play 2 more games against the Yankees tomorrow and Thursday.
Huge.
Yeah, but also on the flip side, I saw 4 more Marlins players tested positive, so there's 17 total from that team when it comes to coaches and players that have tested positive. Is that right?
I believe so.
I mean, the Marlins are the Bengals of baseball, so we can't expect much for them. But this is huge for the NFL, correct? Because now if this happens to a team in the NFL, probably the Bengals, then it won't be cause to cancel the season, right?
Yeah, but when are the Marlins going to play again? If they had 4 more positive tests?
Actually, that's a good question, because I was going to say that Manfred said last night, hopefully everything goes well today with their testing, and then they could play tomorrow.
Wednesday.
Yes, tomorrow, because they could call players up and stuff like that. I mean, if they have 11 – well, they don't even need 11 players to be called up. They only need to fill the team for the day. So if they have enough players to be called up, they could potentially play tomorrow. But I don't know if they're going to let that happen with 4 more players testing positive and Brandt's on.
I would assume that they want to get these games played as quickly as possible, because I don't think they want to stack a bunch of doubleheaders on the Marlins and other teams' plate, moving forward.
Yeah, they're definitely running out of time. But I know we have our guest. This guy – he's on the Business of Sports podcast. He was in the Packers front office for a long time. He was there when I was drafted by Green Bay in 2006. He works for Vayner Sports right now. Welcome to the show, Mr. Andrew Brandt.
Yeah!
Andrew! Woo! Andrew, what's happening?
2006, the only time I was with the Packers in my 10 years, we had a top 5 draft pick. So we're used to picking in the late 20s, and we're top 5, and Ted Thompson was mum as the mum could be about who our pick was going to be. And we watched Mario Williams go off the board. We watched Reggie Bush. We watched Vernon Davis. And we watched Vince Young. And here he is, smiling ear to ear, because at number 5, our player of choice was there, one A.J. Hawk.
Yeah!
Hey, I was very, very thankful to go to Green Bay, Andrew. And when you brought up Ted Thompson, the GM at the time, I'm always curious, when it comes to GMs, are all of them as tight-lipped as Ted was? Because Ted, you could never figure anything of what that guy was thinking. I give him so much credit. I have so much respect for how he handled his business. Are all GMs like that?
No, I think some are a little more vocal, a little more open, and I used to clash with Ted, not because I thought we should be out there talking about our team, but I thought since we're a public company, we're a public trust in many ways, we should be a little more open with our public, with our fans, with our shareholders, and again, not give out any state secrets, but just more about our club. But that's his nature, and that's the way he wanted to be. He used to tell me he saw no value in giving up information out there, any kind of information, really. And there are those GMs that really just hold everything tight because they think any little thing is going to be an advantage.
Yeah, I tell you what, I respect that he never came off his line. Like he had a certain way that he was going to go about his business, and he didn't care. He wasn't going to bow down to pressure from the media or anything. Do you think that's something that is getting more and more difficult if you're in the front office, you're a head coach, you're a GM, to where you can just make decisions on what you think is right and your trusted advisors and not worry about how it's going to look from the media and the fans?
Yeah, as you know, we were with the one team that doesn't have an owner, so there isn't that accountability. Sometimes with ownership, they're into different things. They jump in and do things. You know, I used to talk to my colleagues that were doing all the contracts around the league. You know, like a colleague in Minnesota, they were fighting over Randy Moss's contract for weeks and months and months. And one day the owner's in town, stops in the office, and says, "How's that Randy Moss contract going?" And my colleague says, "Well, we're working on this and this and this." And the owner says, "I want it done in an hour." So you don't get that leverage. You don't get any leverage. You know, sometimes you're beholden to that. And the one thing that was so great about Green Bay is we had so much autonomy, and I knew that, and I was awed by it, but I didn't let it get to me. But sometimes I would realize that, you know, if I did a $20 million contract or a $50 million contract, there was really no one saying, "Hey, Andrew, that's a good deal or a bad deal." You know, I had an amazing amount of autonomy to just sort of do what was right, and always tried to keep the Packers shareholders back of mind when I did things.
Now, when you would be like negotiating contracts, I know you tweet about contract you negotiated with Brett Favre back in the day. How does that like? Is it you and Ted speaking with his agent? Is it you and Bus Cook, who was Brett's agent? Like, is it you guys communicating mainly, or how do you? I guess how much involvement does the GM have, and you being the cap guy at the time? Like, who's doing most of the work?
Yeah, and AJ, that's different team to team too. You have GMs around the league who come from my background, more of the cap financial, and obviously they're doing the negotiations, like a Howie Roseman in Philly, like a Mickey Loomis in New Orleans. But then you have GMs mostly like we had in Green Bay that are more on the football scouting side, and they stay in their lane and they let me operate in my lane. You know, I never got into scouting, never wanted to be. And I think we operated well in Green Bay. We had all the scouts that are now GMs, like Schneider and John Dorsey and Reggie McKenzie and, of course, Ted. And then, of course, they let me do my job. And then I consulted with them when I was getting close on contracts. And that's what you need. You know, three operations in a football team, which are coaching, personnel, and cap and contract management. And the best ones, in my opinion, kind of stay in their lane but collaborate on the big things that need to happen. So that's the way we did in Green Bay, and I thought it worked well.
You mentioned John Schneider, and he's the GM of the Seattle Seahawks right now, and he was in Green Bay for a while as well when I was there. Were you surprised at all at what they gave up to trade for Jamal Adams?
I was, AJ. I mean, I had said that, you know, from the Jets' point of view, I said, hey, listen, I'm a former GM in front office. You got a player that's griping, but he's a star player. So, and you got 2 years of contract control this year and an option year next year, and then potential franchise tags. And so he's upset now, but he'll be fine when the season gets going. And I would say they're not going to trade him. There's no way. But there's always the caveat, AJ, about unless they get something, quote-unquote, stupid, you know? And to me, a 2 number ones offer, let's put aside everything else, you got to make that deal from the Jets standpoint. So, again, from the Jets standpoint, I get it. From the Seahawks standpoint, you know, you can rationalize they're picking in the 20s. It's not really a true first-rounder. It's more like a top second-rounder. But it's a lot to give up because, again, you talk about from a GM perspective versus a coaching perspective. You know, Pete Carroll's in heaven because he's got a great player right now. But I think it's tough for John in a GM perspective because number one picks are your most precious asset because you get 5 years, you get a low financials on what should be a really, really good player. And he's got 2 of those extra right now in New York. So I guess you can look at it as good for both sides, but that, I mean, I'll just wrap this up by saying Jalen Ramsey, Laramie Tunsil, Khalil Mack, and Jamal Adams, they better be elite. I mean, it's not even a question of near elite. They better be elite. You give up 2 number ones, they better be all pro. And so it's a low margin of error right there.
Andrew, last thing, we're up against a hard out here in a minute or so. With all these opt-outs that are happening, the Patriots have 5 already.
Yeah.
I guess, what do you think, like, in the next 2 or 3 days, how many more guys do you think we're going to see opt out of the NFL season?
I think we'll see a bunch in terms of name value, maybe 1 or 2 that the household name will hear of, but a lot of guys. And I tweeted this morning, let's just be clear, these aren't gives $150,000. You have to pay it back next year. Your contract freezes, so if you're making $1 million this year, it freezes. You get $150. They take the $150 out of your $1 million next year, and that's what it is. So stipend, I think, is a little euphemistic. I think it's more like a 1-year loan. And, yeah, you're seeing the effect of the coronavirus. I mean, I didn't think there'd be many. I'm saying there are going to be a lot more, maybe 1 or 2 household names even.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Dante Hightower seems right now. And that one was surprising to me to see Dante opt out. We know he's probably the most high-profile guy so far to opt out.
Yeah, and there'll be more.
Yes, there will. Well, hey, Andrew, I appreciate your time. We're up against the break, but thank you so much. I appreciate it, and hopefully we talk down the road.
Great to talk, AJ. Talk soon.
All right, thanks. Ladies and gentlemen, Andrew Brandt. Appreciate it.
Andrew! Woo! About 30 seconds left, AJ.
Yeah, 30 seconds, as Zito says, before we got a hard out on the radio side here. But I think it's interesting to see how from team to team they go about their business. Like Andrew was the cap guy. He wasn't technically the GM in Green Bay, but Ted Thompson, the GM, he sounds like kind of stayed out of the contract negotiation talks and was more of a high-level scout going out trying to figure out which guys he wants on his team, who he has to cut, who he wants to bring in, all of those things. So I guess you just have to figure out what the relationship is like, and everyone has to have defined roles when it comes to working in an NFL front office. So Andrew Brandt, enlightening us a little bit on some of that. But I think at 11:30 when Michael Lombardi comes on, I have some similar questions I want to ask Mike, but a lot of Patriots-centric talk, especially with the Patriots with 5 guys opting out so far as of right now at 10:54 a.m. Eastern. But we'll be back with plenty more. Come back to the Pat McAfee Show. I'm AJ Hawk.
Oh, shit. Hey, Steven, fuck you.
Don't cut. And it is off the wall.
Don't cut. This is a good at bat. Hey, nice pitch. I think I just pulled a hammy. Hey. Back. Hey, fuck you, Steven. What inning?
Top of the second.
Jesus.
Here comes McAfee.
I saw that thing jumping out of the glove.
Hey. What was that? Would have been nice to take a nap earlier.
Another throw.
Get back.
First. He's going back on it now. Coming over the center fielder. Harris makes the catch.
Cousin. James. What was that? And the catcher goes, I had to give you one.
1-1 pitch.
Let's go.
Line drive. Right
Son of a
at
bitch.
the
This is a good at bat. Oh, in my head, it was like, oh, yeah, you're going to drop this for sure. What the fuck are you even doing here? Why'd we sign up for this? What's going on? It all comes down to this. My last at bat.
30 seconds.
I'm going to get on. You bring me home.
This is your life on the line, fucker.
Let me tell you something. You're going to take an L, okay? You're going to take one. So I think that the close your eyes and swing method is perfect for you. Oh, this is hardball.
Oh, hell yeah.
10 seconds.
God. Oh, my God. Jesus. You have no prayer.
4, 3, 2, 1.
Welcome back. This is the Pat McAfee Show. I am AJ Hawk filling in for Pat. He's getting his tux situated to cut his V taper of a back that he has with his giant lats now. He got too muscular for his jacket, so he has to get it fixed a few days before the big day. But the boys sent me a little bit of an outline of just different topics, what's been going on around the sports world right now. And down towards the bottom, second to last, it says Fauci completely destroyed his arm. Now, I don't know exactly what this is about. I understand he threw the first pitch out. It was god-awful. We know that. But is he coming out now and saying he's injured?
Zito, do you have that tweet? I guess he's claiming that he, I believe, hurt his arm in warm-ups before he threw out that pitch. So he's blaming that horrendous show that he had on a destroyed arm.
Wait, so he threw for the first time in decades, maybe the day before the game, and then he woke up very sore. Is that what he's claiming?
That's what he said.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, that's what happens when you throw a screwball for the first pitch instead of trying to burn a two-seamer down the middle. It's kind of on him.
Why did he do this? Why did he agree to do it?
I don't know.
I'm sure obviously they reached out like, okay, you've been at the front of this since the beginning, so we feel like it's justified. It'd be good to get you out there and with your mask on, throwing the first pitch. Why didn't Fauci say, you know what, I appreciate it. Thank you for the offer, but I know what's going to happen, so I will respectfully decline, and you can have somebody else here that maybe can get it to the plate.
Why do any of these people who, like, why did 50 Cent do this? They have to know that they have no idea how to throw a baseball and that they are going to look horrendous. Like, why do any of them do it if they can't throw a baseball?
Because he's the Fauci. He's like the modern version of the Fonz. He just goes, hey, he's got his mask on or off. I don't know.
Also,
but here, controversial. No one over the age of 55 should throw out a first pitch at a baseball game.
Unless
I'm okay with that.
Let's put a hard limit on it.
I mean,
what about Nolan Ryan? I let Nolan Ryan throw it out.
Well, yeah,
I mean,
former players don't count.
Didn't George W. burn a heater down there?
Yeah,
over
like
55.
Oh yeah, I mean he threw it
with a bulletproof vest on under his jacket and everything. Yeah.
I mean, they just need to at least be screened the day before to see if they can throw a first pitch or not.
AJ, you ever throw out a first pitch or what?
He definitely.
Yeah, I've thrown a few. You know what? I got so mad. It was when I went with the Brewers long time ago. I took some BP, hit a few dingers in BP.
Yeah, right.
And I went up on the rubber, threw it out, and I think I tried to fire that thing. I wanted to fire it off the backstop. I'm like, hey man, just if you're gonna miss, just miss high. And I didn't. I missed low. I fired that thing, and it like the guy had to almost scoop it. But then I threw another pitch at the AAA team, the Columbus Clippers, a couple years later.
Go Clips!
And fired an absolute heater for a strike, probably upwards of 92 miles an hour.
AJ.
Oh, so what you're saying is
Fauci's
Fauci's second run at this is going to be much better than his first. He needs a warm up, is what you're saying?
Yeah, he probably needs about 8 months to rest that sore arm as well. I'm going to claim I had a sore arm too for my first one. Or maybe I was exhausted from batting practice. That's why I threw a bad one back in Milwaukee in probably 2007. But then in 2011 probably came back to Columbus and redeemed myself throwing from the rubber too, not in front of the mound. I didn't want to do that. I wanted to make sure I was up there. But I grew up pitching. I loved pitching. But then you forget, pitching from a mound feels much different. Like your arm angle, everything changes as you're stepping down on when you plant and drive off of it. That's the biggest thing I think people that go on top of the mound that they don't realize. Like, oh, okay, I kind of got to get used to throwing off the mound again.
Fauci also, Topps made a baseball card, and I think it was their most sold card ever. So maybe he was just, trying to get his rookie card out there, get some value.
When was this card made?
I would assume
2 days ago.
Yeah, the day after the game.
Did they
I
cut
was
up his
trying to make
jersey?
some money, huh? Hey, I
don't
respect
think so.
the hustle, I guess.
Yeah, I know. I thought I saw that Gary Vee already valued it at like $450,000.
Wow. Mint condition.
Did Gary buy the first one?
He might have. I can't confirm it, but he probably did.
Now, I know we didn't have Andrew for super long, so we didn't really get into what exactly his job is now. So he's with Vayner Sports. He's like the executive VP. Is he an agent? Is he representing players?
I don't know. We've never actually talked to him about exactly what he does at Vayner, to be honest with you.
Well, do we know what Vayner Sports is? I know
agents.
Gary Vee branched out into all different kind of things. Jab, jab, right hook, whatever it is.
Yeah.
You guys know the same.
Free content, pay for me.
What is it?
Free content, pay for my stuff.
Well, what's the actual saying? Is it jab, jab, right hook?
Jab.
Well, I know that he's always in
left hook.
I would know that he's always in right hook mode.
Yes.
True.
Oh, okay. Well, I need to get myself in that mode at all times as well, I guess. But they do represent players. Do they have any big name guys that we know of?
Well, I know they had big news today that they signed I believe an agent who has like 24 MMA guys underneath them.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, so they're bringing agents over and they're bringing their book with them, basically.
It's at least for MMA. I believe that is what happened this morning.
Poaching.
Okay, hey, Gary's branching out, man. Give him credit. I respect the hustle there as well. That dude's everywhere, I guess. And I know hopefully Pat can pay Ty Schmidt enough so he doesn't get recruited away to work for Vayner Sports.
Well, all Gary knows is the hustle. So, I mean, it's really not that surprising.
AJ, there's been another bigger name who has opted out, and it is Bears nose tackle Eddie Goldman.
No!
Did he cite his reasons?
Not that I have seen anywhere on the internet.
I mean, you don't have to. You have no reason to tell us. We don't deserve an explanation of why you're opting out. If you are a player right now in any sport that opts out, you don't owe us a reason. We understand, I think. But man, I wonder what that number is going to be. Like, what does it look like? Are we going to have hundreds of players opting out, you think?
I don't know, but it is interesting. And I didn't know this, that Andrew Brandt said. It's not like they're just making this $150,000 this year and whatever their contract was supposed to be goes away. They are going to get paid whatever their contract is. It's just going to be next year. So this year, basically doesn't even count against them. So I might actually think about.
I thought it was. I understand 150 or 350, whatever you may get, whether you're high risk or not. I thought it was free money on top of your contract. I knew you weren't going to get paid for this year. But basically, how Andrew explained it, no, they're just taking it from you. So next year, if you're due $1 million, then you're just that 150 comes from there. So the 150 you got this year comes from there. So then you won't get the full $1 million next season. I didn't know it was basically just a loan off your own contract. I guess. Did you guys?
No, I did not. I didn't have that. That's why I like having him on every once in a while to discuss the contract situation, because all I do is read headlines and I have no idea what the actual meat of the conversation is.
We've talked a lot about rookies and younger guys too. With all these opt-outs, and obviously this season being negative for them, with all these opt-outs, are these rookies now kind of benefiting almost a little because they're going to get shots at more teams?
Well, yeah. Anytime that someone retires, someone gets cut, someone decides to not play or gets hurt, what does it do? It opens up an opportunity for somebody else. So yeah, those young guys that are cheaper coming into the league, yeah, I think it does open up opportunities. What's the old saying, Connor? When one door closes, another one opens. Maybe for somebody else, I guess.
Cam Newton. I hear exactly what you're saying, AJ.
Do you think the Patriots players might be opting out because of what you said earlier when you were listening to some show that said Jared Stidham may be the starter? Do you think that may be the reason why the Patriots are opting out?
I do not, but what I'm excited for is to read whatever. I don't know if it's been written yet. It will be soon enough, especially if more Patriots players opt out. Someone's going to write some story slamming Bill Belichick, saying the Patriots, it's the no fun zone. Nobody enjoys it. We already saw Gronk retired and finagled his way down to Tampa because he couldn't have the fun he wanted to when he's playing in New England. And now they're going to say Bill Belichick has lost the roster. He's lost his team. Once Tom Brady left, everyone doesn't want to come back and play for Bill Belichick in the no fun zone. So I can't wait till that article is out there. And
AJ,
whoever writes it, man, you're going to catch some heat up.
I'm actually 800. I don't know if you can see this. I'm actually 800 words into that article already. So I'll send it.
You're writing it?
Yeah, I'll send it to you before I put it out.
Please do. I'd love to see it. And just you got to cite all these specific examples that you just basically made up in your head
What are you talking
of
about?
areas that you think that Bill Belichick is at odds with guys on his team over the years.
Well, I mean, no other team has 5 people opting out. So,
AJ, do you think that these guys are discussing this with teammates at all? Like if, for instance, like the Packers, like let's say one of their like receivers or like a tight end would want to opt out. Like, do you think they're discussing that with Rodgers before they do so, or is it mostly just family, team, etc.?
I bet they do. Yeah, for sure. If it was a guy like Devontae Adams and he wanted to opt out or something, obviously I'm not saying he is. Yeah, you would think he's not going to talk to every guy on the team, but he absolutely would talk to those guys he's closest with in his receiving room. He'd talk to his receivers coach, the head coach, whoever else, the GM. But yeah, I would think you would give a heads up to your QB or the guys around you. I mean, I bet a lot of the guys, though, I'm sure a lot of Patriots players woke up today and they saw the fact that, wow, man, Dante's not with us. Like, Dante's sitting out this year. Of course, I'm sure there's there's a handful of guys on the team that knew. But I bet it was a surprise for a lot of people.
Yeah.
It could have been a surprise for some coaches. You never know. I don't know how many people you consult with on the team before you do this. I'm sure you give them a heads up that, hey, you're thinking about it. But I don't know if word spreads to the team that quickly to where everyone is like, oh, okay, yeah, we knew he was going to opt out. Like, no, I don't. It's a big deal, man. Like, he's gonna Dante Hightower, everyone, the rest of the guys, they're gonna sit out the whole year. Danny Vitale, this is his first year on the roster. He's opting out as well. It's just, yeah, man, what a unique year. What a weird season. And if more high-profile guys opt out, I wonder what kind of impact that has on the NFL this year.
asterisks. We're putting asterisks. Unless the Steelers win, there's probably going to be asterisks.
Unless if the Steelers win, there's no asterisks, though, right?
No, absolutely not.
I know he's not
well,
a hype.
We saw Big Ben's back. He did the video.
Oh,
He's
there's
in a
no
private
way
plane.
he
He
opts
shaved
out.
his beard. He's back better than ever, right?
There's absolutely no way he opts out. I mean, he's been cranking his meat for so many years.
Yeah, finally let go of the baloney. I mean, he's about to have the best year of his career, probably.
I mean, he didn't work. He didn't do that for all those years to sit out this year. I can promise you that.
Well, okay. The guy has a moment when he's pouring his heart and soul out for people.
Don't bring this
Pouring
up.
more than his heart and soul out.
Of being vulnerable, of proving like, hey, I am. This is how tough I am, that I can be this vulnerable and this open for all of you people. And then he's got to deal with guys like you.
Well, I mean, he's the one murdering his salami. It's not our fault that, he had this whole thing happen. And really, it's more on the church, the circle that let it out. I feel bad for Big Ben.
Listen,
I really do.
Listen, we're all in the same boat as Ben. We just don't all come and talk about it.
They do. He does.
Well, isn't there some kind of – did the church put this out without his – like, did he really want that not to get out?
Hard to imagine that you want everyone knowing that you jerk your meat 20 times a day, AJ.
Why do you think he's lost so much weight this year?
Well, if for some reason that was not for public consumption, he did not want that to everybody. He just wanted that to a small group of his church family. I hope he may have left that. I hope that his relationship with that church, I can't imagine how that would ever be the same.
AJ,
if they did put that out and you didn't want it out there.
How's the locker room when that story comes out? Like, what are you saying to Roethlisberger?
Man, there's a few guys on that team I'm sure that can say something to him and can kind of mess with him about it, but not many. The majority of that team, especially with Big Ben, he's been in the league for so long, has multiple rings. Most guys are probably staying kind of mum and probably a little bit awkward too when they walk by him the first time they see him, if that's on the tip of their mind, if they're thinking about that. But eventually it all dies down. Everyone's got issues. Everyone's got things they're dealing with. And I don't think guys get too hung up on it. But yeah, there'll definitely be some moments of some lighthearted ribbing that Ben may get from some of his teammates, especially as veteran guys that have been around for a long time.
Do you think like the linemen are going to be disappointed when for Christmas they don't get a platinum subscription to Brazzers again this year?
Well, who says he can't give that out again? Why can't he still give that out? He says, well, no, hey, I'm not taking one for myself, though.
That's like an alcoholic buying all of his friends like 30 packs for Christmas. You just can't do that.
Yeah, you could. I guess if you didn't physically go to the store and buy those, if you're an alcoholic, you don't want to be around it too much. So you're like, hey, you give a buddy some money. Say, hey, go buy all my buddies 30-pack of Busch Original, Busch Light, whatever one you want, and then you hand it out to the lineman, and I'm not going to touch it. Maybe
the temptation's going to be way too high.
Yeah, also, too, we got to keep in mind that Roethlisberger throws teammates under the bus on a regular basis.
That shirt might be in the store soon, by the way.
What's that?
Is that the first time you've used that nickname?
Yeah, Roethlisberger just came to my head, yes.
Like, how long did it come to your head? Because I could see you just sitting there chomping at the bit, waiting to use that.
I've been saying it just back here with the mic off to try and not laugh while I say it, but I still kind of cracked a little bit. Roethlisberger. Ben Roethlisberger, that's honestly one of my favorites.
Did you ever have any weird things in your contract like Ben has now that he can only jerk it left-handed so he doesn't hurt his elbow again? Did you have anything like that in yours?
Verlander, Guitar Hero as well, Tony.
All right. We got to go to break. 1-833-622-3331. I cannot navigate these waters anymore. When we come back on the other side, we're going to talk about some other things going on in the NFL. Nothing really too much about Ben Roethlisberger, but come on back. This is the Pat McAfee Show. I am AJ Hall.
I told her about it. I was like, you have expectations of the New York subway. Don't worry about it.
I can hear that roar from the crowd. It's from Pat McAfee. This environment is electric. We just walked in here, and I'm expecting some magical stuff to happen here this evening.
The guy who lost, he's been arrested and reported 13 times.
A baker's dozen is a lot of times to get caught doing something wrong and going to jail. It's almost kind of nice to see that Russian kid play bongos on his face there, but it's been awesome this evening.
As a former NFL player, who's a guy that you think could be pretty good in the ring?
The only name that came to mind was a guy named Robert Mathis, okay?
Yeah.
Robert Mathis, not only this incredibly tough man, but the way he utilized his hands as an undersized defensive end. The human cockfighting world is one that I am very intrigued by. The amount of training, the amount of discipline, the amount of strategery, everything about it. The dude's got cinder blocks attached to his wrist. I think tonight is going to be a big night against Tarasenko.
I was going to say it 3 different ways.
Tarasenko. But I just think Triple G is such a magnetic fighter, and that's why this place is lit up the way it is. I was told not to blink, keep my eyes open. I brought Visine, I brought the vitamins, and I am expecting something awesome to happen. Hey, wait, are we on the screen
They're
right now?
on the big screen at Madison
Square Garden. Hey, Mama, we made it.
Ten seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2. AJ, ad read, 1. Live.
Summer's in full action, and we are thankful for our sponsor today, Manscaped, for keeping us fresh. Sun's out, bum's out, and hopefully your pubes are not out. Manscaped offers all the right tools to keep your hair groomed above and below the belt. Manscaped is dedicated to helping you level up your full-body grooming game. They actually just released their Shears 2.0 Nail Kit, which is perfect add-on to their Lawnmower 3.0 or Perfect Package.
Love it.
The Shears 2.0 is a luxury 4-piece nail kit featuring tempered stainless steel tools that are great. No one likes ungroomed set of feet, fingers, and most importantly, balls. The Perfect Package 3.0 kit comes with the essential Lawnmower 3.0 water-resistant cordless body trimmer and a ton of other liquid formulations to round out your manscaping routine. Subscribe to the Perfect Package and get a new blade refill for your lawnmower trimmer delivered to your door every 3 months. For a limited time, subscribers get 2 free gifts: the Shed Travel Bag and the patent high-performance reduced chafing Manscaped Boxer Briefs.
Hell yeah.
Get 20% off and free
Hell
shipping
yeah.
with code PATM at manscaped.com. That's 20% off and free shipping with code PATM at manscaped.com.
All right. Hey, thank you. Appreciate
You're
the
welcome.
nice ad read. I wanted to actually jump out to the phones now. I'm AJ Hawk filling in for Pat McAfee here on the show. There's a guy, John in Illinois, Connor. Can you pull him up? He's got a question about the NFC South. See what he's got going on.
Unfortunately, John in Illinois did, in fact, hang up. But we have Grayson in Atlanta who wants to talk NFC South.
Let's do it. What's up, Grayson?
What up? How's it going, boys?
Good, dude.
Amazing.
Thank y'all for letting me on. It's my 17th birthday, so I do appreciate
Happy birthday!
Grayson.
Thank you. So I wanted to ask y'all if you think that out of the 4 quarterbacks in the NFC South, out of those, if one of them's like super elite, rather be Brady or maybe even Bridgewater or something, do you think they'd be in the conversation of the MVP with Jackson, Mahomes, and possibly Russell Wilson?
Yeah. I mean, how elite of a season do they need to have, though, you think? Like, how many touchdowns do you think Tom Brady needs to throw to get into that conversation this year?
Ooh,
37.
I don't even know, but I don't think it has to be a lot just because it's Tom Brady and everything that he's done in his career, you know?
Nah, Tom Brady stinks. I don't know what that guy's even talking about.
You hang up on him?
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, okay, so he wanted to know if any of them could be in the MVP conversation. Of course they could. I mean, any of them, take a fly out on them. They
Every single one of them.
absolutely could.
Yeah.
I mean, I think Teddy Bridgewater would be the one that you have the most questions about. The other guys, all 100%. With Drew Brees, Matt Ryan, Tom Brady, you kidding me? Teddy Bridgewater, that's a hell of a lineup you have when you think of the quarterbacks in your division. I know everyone likes talking about the Tampa Bay Bucks with Gronk and Tom Brady and how they're going to do, and I just don't know, man. Like, I can be swayed both ways. I can be swayed to where I say, hey, man, yeah, they're going to go 14-2 the regular season, make a run, and have a chance to win the Super Bowl, and then if someone tells me they might go 8-8 and they're going to be banged up a little bit throughout the season, I'm like, okay, I can see how that would happen too. I just don't know. It's hard because there's so many diehard Patriots fans. And I know I keep coming to Connor for this because he's our Patriots guy, but are there still Patriots fans out there that are okay with Tom Brady and are rooting for Tom Brady to do well? Just may not be rooting for the Bucks, but they're rooting for Tom Brady to do all right?
There have been a few followers, similar to how when LeBron moves around, people follow Brady. But I don't see how they're unsuccessful, right? Because Brady's so good at knowing where to go with the ball before the snap. And so you add Gronk into that offense, who are they going to double, right? With Godwin, Evans, and Rob Gronkowski, there is a hole on every single play. So I personally, I don't see how the Buccaneers don't win 14 games, really.
Well, 14 may be a bit of a stretch, but I think you could easily sit there and say, if Tom Brady is healthy for most all of the season and Gronk plays at least 80% of the regular season games, I'm like, all right, I feel like I can easily give them 10 wins, don't you?
Yeah, well, absolutely. But is there any worry about like how much Jimmy Winston was on his back last year? Like, isn't it a lot on the line, and also Brady getting rid of the ball before the pass rush gets there?
I mean, of course, but yeah, Tom Brady can help you out a lot with his quick decision making and also their play calling, what they can do to get the ball out of his hand quicker, not put him in too much danger if the offensive line is struggling early on. But they drafted a lineman in the first round this year. Like, they knew right away like what they needed to do, how they're trying to shore this team up and make sure everything around them is in place because they went all in. And Tom Brady and Gronk, you went all in for the next 2 years. Like, hey, this is our window. These next 2 years for sure. After that, we got to figure out what our next window may be or how we find a way to maximize the talent we have and find out who we can bring in. But right now, they're all in for the next 2 years, and they're just praying that everything goes well and the season happens and everything is all right because Tom Brady's, 42 years old now? Is that right?
43, I believe.
Okay.
By the time the season starts, rather.
AJ.
Yeah. What's up?
Is there any worry that Gronk will have a drop-off since he sat out last year, or is it just like a better situation for someone who maybe got a knee injury in the preseason and didn't play for a year, but he's not actually rehabbing from an injury? So he just missed a year and it's going to be back just like nothing happened.
I'm not worried about Gronk because Gronk is a freak, and everyone knows that. You talk to anybody that's played with Gronk, they're like, "Oh man, are you kidding me? This dude, remember when Gronk got pretty skinny, and they showed videos of him when he wasn't playing, like, oh man, there's no way he's coming back. Look how skinny Gronk is." I remember talking to somebody that played with Gronk, they're like, that doesn't mean anything, man. They're like, Gronk goes out, if Gronk can go and half-ass it in the weight room for 3 weeks and put on 15 pounds of muscle. Like they said, he's just a freak in all aspects. Everything he does, he is. I'm not saying he does half-ass. I'm saying he's that much of a genetic freak, and he also, when you pair that with his work ethic and what he does and how much he truly cares, you get a guy like Gronk, a surefire Hall of Famer that changes the game whenever he is in. So I think, if anything, maybe if he even stumbles early or doesn't get as many balls as he wants, maybe it's just trying to figure out exactly where he fits in that system. And more importantly, how do they use him in the system? If you're the play caller, what do I do? Like, what does Gronk do best? And how do I put him in that position to make those plays and to create those mismatches that Gronk is so good at finding a way to just capitalize on every single game, it seems like. So I think it's just a matter of time before Gronk has a couple monster games and then gets that momentum rolling, gets the whole city behind him. When Gronk makes one of those catches and he breaks 13 tackles and gets the whole stadium rocking. I know there's not going to be fans there probably, but those players on the sidelines are going to love it, and I think they feed off that.
I know that you and Pat have covered this before, but how much time do you think it will take him to get into football shape, as opposed to a guy who is just going through the normal offseason, not playing, and him missing a year?
I think early on he may feel like, oh, geez, okay, ooh, I'm getting back into this. But that's kind of how everyone feels when you start camp. I know I've said before on our McAfee and Hawk show, where day 3 of camp, everyone's like, man, how did I play football for the last 20 years? As a kid, and now, how have I done this? And you always have that same feeling when your legs are so dead, your body is so beat up, and you feel so terrible, and you got to go out there and put pads on and bang with your teammates for three more hours that day. But then your body kind of gets hardened to that and gets in that football shape. And that's why I think you just settle right back into it. And I think Gronk will have no issue with that. I really don't. Maybe early on, but that's a good thing too. Gronk is such an established veteran star in this league. He can take those days off. You don't need Gronk practicing on Wednesdays. If he wants to during the season, I wouldn't practice on Wednesday or Thursday. Let him practice on Friday when you're running around and you get to feel good, and make sure that he is absolutely at his best heading into Sunday. So I feel like they have a plan in place for him, and I think it'll be I think it should work out. Just hopefully he doesn't have any big time injuries that would sideline him for the whole season.
Yeah, hopefully, definitely not. Do you think there's any thought with someone like Gronk, who is a little bit injury prone, to kind of hold off and maybe start playing him week 5, week 6, or are you trying to get him in there right away, learn the system, win some football games?
I'm putting him in right away.
Yeah.
If you feel comfortable with his health, if you feel like, hey, if he's on the field, if he's playing, I'm not putting him at more danger to get hurt. He's not rehabbing his back or something else going on. I put him in day one because he may need some time to settle down and get into those and kind of get into a rhythm. But I'm actually going to throw this to a little break here because we got the great Michael Lombardi coming back with us. We're going to talk a lot more Patriots. I know it's been a very Patriots-centric show today.
Love it.
I'm sure there's plenty of people on both sides that are super pissed off, but who cares? It's all right. We'll be okay. It's going to be a fun rest of the show. Come on back. This is the Pat McAfee Show. I'm AJ Hawk. Michael Lombardi joins us next.
This is Remember the Titans. How's it going? My name is Pat McAfee. I do a lot of things.
Today I am a professional analyst getting ready for the Thursday Night Football opener in beautiful Nippert Stadium with the Cincinnati Bearcats here at Higher Ground. This secluded world. Good squad, good place, excited for this morning practice. I'm obviously unbiased, but I'm pulling hard for Cincinnati to do well on Thursday night.
I like to say, I'll eat clipboard quarterback. This is awesome. And we got hopefully a future NFL kicker. Let's see what you got. Come on.
This is great for the brand. This guy's an athlete. Athlete. Hey, let's go. Hey, goodness.
They say kickers are athletes. We'll find out. Let's go.
Pull it up. Heads up. Hey, I appreciate that. Thank you so much for the hospitality. Have a great day. Let's go get
Going in, I'ma close the case. I can't wait no more, man. I gotta blow today. I'ma blow today. I ain't hearing what they say. Need a blue face. I've been caring about the race. I've been trying to eat. I need more than just a taste. Now they trying to talk. Oh no, they should know their place. Man, I'm ballin'. This ain't cap, baby. Now I feel like calling. From the O, but I got the music poppin'. All the time, man, it started get obnoxious. Now I gotta drive, yeah, I'm feeling nauseous. Gotta drive top down, then I hop out. I've been feeling hot now.
Thank you
Okay,
so
what's up
much.
to ask?
Yeah, you got it.
Appreciate you coming.
Thank you. This has been so cool to see. Whenever we were driving out here into the sticks, my boys and I from Indianapolis, we were told by Coach Fickle it was a 40-minute drive from where we live. Absolute lie, hour and a half out here. But as we were getting out here, we didn't know what we were going to show up to. And this is such a cool scene here. I remember whenever I was in college, we won a lot of games, beat Cincinnati a couple times. It was a great day. But I remember my boys, right? Like I still am in touch with them every single day, every single week. We had this moment where we went from boys to become men. And you guys were a really young team last year, but got to experience a lot of wins. Like now the expectation level are high. And I can't wait to talk you all up on Thursday night against UCLA. UCLA refused to respond to my tweet. So I am a Bearcat fan on that opening night, and I cannot wait to watch you guys dominate. And I think this is such a cool thing. Coach, I can't thank you enough for your hospitality. I got a bunch of swag from you guys, too. This has been a cool day. Enjoy this, though. This doesn't happen a lot. Even when you get into the NFL, it's not like college. It's not like your boys. It's not like this. It's a whole different world that you'll remember forever. And I was honored to be here to watch you today, and I can't wait to watch you guys go win the thing on Thursday night and then throughout the rest of the season. Thank you so much. Cheers, boys. Thank you.
Hey, team. 1, 2, 3.
$30 seconds. $10 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Welcome back to the Pat McAfee Show. I'm AJ Hawk sitting in for Pat, and let's get right out to it. This next guest has been on the Pat McAfee Show many, many times, brings a lot of insight, has held all kinds of front office gigs all over the NFL right now, is doing a million different things in the media world. The GM Shuffle with Adnan Burke's a podcast I love to listen to. A lot of great insights there. But ladies and gentlemen, welcome Michael Lombardi to the show.
Thanks, guys. Hello, AJ. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Of course, Mike. Good to have you on here, and it's very it's a good time for it too. I know you have a lot of close ties with the Patriots. They got 5 guys opting out so far. Dante Hightower. I guess when you saw Hightower opting out, what were your thoughts, and how do you think that affects this defense?
Well, I mean, I think it affects it greatly. You know, there was a certain amount of guys that in your mind you kind of felt were going to opt out. I mean, Brandon Bolden has a medical condition, and Marcus Cannon was dealing with starting his career in the NFL, had that leukemia. I think that, Dan Vitale, I don't know why. Maybe he has some form of ailment. I think he just had a newborn son. But I think this is the landscape that we're going to face. And the Patriots, I think they were expecting Hightower to do this. I think they kind of know what was going on in his life, and they felt like that he was going to do it. I think a lot of teams are going to be faced with this. I was talking to a coach yesterday in the NFL, and all this money comes out of the cap. So this isn't like the owners are paying for the players to sit out. It affects the team. It affects the team greatly. So even though Hightower's cap number comes off their books at $8 million, right? His cap charge for $350 or $150, whatever he's entitled to based on the CBA, that counts. So there's going to be about $4 million with each team of players that decide to opt out. Some of the guys, as you've noticed, are opted out. They may not have made the team. They may not have made the team, so it's probably a smart thing to do. You get the money, you don't even have to worry about making a team.
I got breaking news for you too. While that happened, Patrick Chung is also opting out for the Patriots.
Son of a bitch!
Yeah, I mean that hurts. I mean, but look, they drafted the Kyle Duggar from in the second round this year. They've got to get him on the field. I mean, this is all going to take a toll on their team. I mean, there's no doubt about it. Chung was a really good player. Chung allows them to play man-to-man coverage in their base front, and so he can cover most tight ends. He can cover in the slot, so that's a huge loss. He's had some difficulty medically. And, I think this is just the tip of the iceberg. I think we're going to see a lot more.
Why do you think right now, early on, there's so many Patriots players opting out compared to the rest of the league?
That's a great question. I'm sure it's all going to come down to because it's so hard to be up there and it's difficult. I think that ultimately there's probably circumstances that go with the Patriots. I know Bolden would have liked to play, but medically he can't. I think the same thing with Marcus Cannon. I think the injury and the factors. I mean, the one thing people don't talk about, AJ, you know this, when you are the Patriots, you've played almost a full season more than any other team in the league. You're Patrick Chung. You've been to playoff games every single year for the last 7 or 8 years. That takes a toll on your body. That's another year that you've added. This gives him an opportunity to take a year off and get paid. It may not be the dumbest thing of all to do.
What do you think it does? Can it help? Obviously, can you have addition by subtraction? When you lose these guys, when it frees up some cap space, does it allow them to go after guys like Clowney? We mentioned Clay Matthews. Do you think they'll make a play?
Well, I think, I think it's going to be hard for them to go after any player after they gave no signing bonus to Cam Newton. I'm knowing Coach Belichick as well as I do. He has great respect for the integrity of the locker room. So he's not going to go pay some player a lot of money and then look at Cam Newton and not pay him any signing bonus. If they redo Cam Newton's contract now before it even gets started, and then I think it'll tell you they're going to sign a player. Clowney's not a fit for New England whatsoever. He just doesn't fit there. The way he rushes the passer, he doesn't practice on Wednesday. He doesn't practice on Thursday. Maybe he can practice on Friday based on his injuries with his knee. There's no chance he has any way of playing for New England. It's a complete no fit.
You mentioned not practicing on Wednesday, not practicing on Thursday. I was in Green Bay for 9 years, and that was a place where guys practiced. We didn't really have the vets that would take Wednesday off, Thursday off. Every once in a while, we had a few vet O-linemen that wouldn't practice on Wednesday, maybe late in the year. But for the most part, everyone's practicing. Why is it like that at certain places? And some places seem to not care. And some guys, hey, as long as you're good on Sunday, strap it up and go.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. The New England mantra and what I've grown up with being around Coach Belichick and Coach Walsh is practice execution becomes game reality. So you can't have really good practice execution, and you can't not have practice execution and have good game reality. So look, and I'm not saying that Clowney's taking it off and sitting off to the sideline. What I'm saying is Clowney just medically he can't practice. The knee just doesn't have enough. It's bone on bone. It's the reason why Houston traded him and still took away, paid the salary. It's the reason why Seattle never offered him the money that he wanted. It's the reason he's not getting paid the money he wants, because for 5 or 6 games during the season, he can be a dominant player. But for the 20 games, or if we play for the 16 games or the 17, 18 playoff games, he could not be there when it comes time.
Now, on that Patriots coaching staff, I know your son works for the Patriots as well. The guy, Steve Belichick, guy who seems to have a huge role on that staff, but is so behind the scenes, doesn't want any of the limelight, isn't talked about. His name's not floated out there for coordinator gigs or anything else going on. Do you think that he's being groomed to become the next Bill Belichick?
Well, I don't know. He's got a great relationship with his dad, and he's watched his dad since he was a young kid. Brian Belichick this year is now the safeties coach. Brian was born Bill's first year when we were all together in Cleveland. So, I've known those kids since they were little, and, and they've grown and they've lived football their whole lives. And I think that watching his dad operate, he understands how the team is supposed to operate. Speak for yourself, do your job, be attentive, and do the things you need to do to make yourself the best coach that you can be. So I don't know the answer to that. I think that, Bill really enjoys coaching. I think that he's going to coach a little bit longer than he first initially told us.
Hell yeah. What do you think about he and Cam Newton? There's so much talked about their relationship, what it's going to be like. Do you think Belichick is more motivated than ever to prove that, or I guess even prove to himself that he can win without Tom Brady?
I don't think he needs to prove anything, but I think that he's going to fall in love with Cam. I think Cam's embraced the situation in New England, and talking to players that have worked out with Cam, he looks healthy. He's throwing the ball really well. The feedback that New England's getting from their players who work out with Cam is like, wow, this guy's ready to go. And I think that's the spark in Bill. See, what I think people misconstrue about every year's a new team. So every year's a new challenge, and he doesn't rest on his laurels. Like, he's now being dealt a lot of players that are opted out. Chong, Hightower, Bolden. He's got Cannon's a starter, Chung's a starter. He's got 3 starters that opted out, and he's got to figure out how he's going to replace them, and that's the challenge. And I think that's what motivates him. So I think Cam and him will get along really well. When we traded Randy Moss to him, I told him on the phone that Randy Moss and you would be the best friends of all, because Randy loves football. The common denominator to succeed up there is you got to love football. If you don't love football, don't go there. If you don't love working in football, if you don't love football, don't go there.
Amen.
If your heart isn't in football, you're probably better off going somewhere else.
Yeah, it definitely seems that way, and I know their track record speaks for itself. It's fun. There's this weird aura about the Patriots. I never got a chance to spend any time in New England, but still, like, when anyone ever asks, like, oh, is there any team you would have liked to play for? I always think, I would like to see what it was like to play for New England and Bill Belichick and what that was like. Like, when you're there and when you're around him, do you feel that?
Oh, yeah, because it's so different. See, what I think people misconstrue, AJ, is they think every team in the NFL is like New England. And I've been other places. I don't function very well in other places. Like, I understand complementary football. I know that it isn't just about one player's going to win the game. I know that the offense has to affect the defense, which has to affect the special teams, and the special teams affects the offense. I see that. I see a complementary way to play football. That's all they talk about in New England. He's teaching a class of 101 on football. And everybody, the team together, builds that giant fence and unifies itself together to go out and play. It's not typically like that. He's the head coach. He runs the program. The running back coach doesn't tell the head coach what he wants to do. Belichick tells the running back coach what he wants to do. It's a completely different dichotomy. And, when I grew up in the NFL, there were head coaches. And it wasn't this subcontractor league that we have now, where you hear offensive line coaches talk about their players, you hear the running back coach talk about his players. There needs to be one voice in every organization, and that voice needs to come from the head coach, and that's what you get in New England.
Why is it so tough? It seems simple to do. Yeah, when you lay it out, of course, yeah, there needs to be a clear, defined leader, and you all need to be working towards the same goal. But why is that so difficult to actually cultivate that and make it happen, especially for the long period of time that Bill Belichick has been able to do it in New England?
Because I think it's hard. I think sometimes guys become head coaches and they don't want to be the head coach because when they were assistants, they didn't want a coach breathing over their neck. Well, the head coach, the NFL is a paramilitary organization. You need a supreme commander at the top, and the team reflects the head coach's personality. I mean, I think that's the problem in Green Bay with LaFleur. I don't think LaFleur's personality is ever going to take shape on that team. You got Mike Pettine's the special teams coach. He's a subcontractor. You got the defense coordinator. You got the special teams coach. Who's unifying the team? Who's bringing the team together to really, and then who's putting up with the comprehensive game plan? There's Bill Parcells' old high school coach, Mickey Corcoran, used to say, there's always a way to win a game. You just got to figure it out. Well, the problem with the NFL is there's not enough coaches figuring out how to win the game. There's coaches figuring out what plays will work. There's coaches figuring out what defenses might be excel. But how do you play a complete game to beat the opponent? That's the challenge to beat Kansas City. You're not going to beat Kansas City trying to outscore them. You're not going to beat Kansas City in a 13-10 game. You got to beat Kansas City with your offense, your defense, your kicking game playing in perfect harmony to give yourself a chance in the last 4 minutes of the game to win.
You mentioned the Packers and Matt LaFleur. I guess when the draft was going on, and obviously they trade up, they take Jordan Love. There's all kind of talk. It's kind of died down now. I think it's going to pick back up once these players get back in the facilities and they actually get on the field and they practice a little bit. But I guess how do you see that playing out with Jordan Love there? And with Matt LaFleur, like how much longer do you think Aaron Rodgers is in Green Bay?
Well, AJ, you were there, so I mean, you've experienced it. I mean, Mark Murphy is doing something that has never happened in the history of the Packers before Lombardi came in 1959. The president of the Packers was always seen but never heard. He never really had a voice. Murphy changed the dynamic. I mean, when you got drafted, Ted Thompson drafted you. He didn't have to ask the president of the team if it was okay to draft you. He had complete authority to run the personnel. Same thing with Ron Wolf. Mike Holmgren coached the team. Wolf did the general managing duties. He ran the team, and then he passed the torch to Ted Thompson, and the same thing continued with Mike McCarthy. So this is a completely different organizational structure that no one really wants to talk about because Murphy pretends he's really not that involved, yet everything runs through Murphy. Whether they hire, what coach they hire, or what they do personnel-wise, it all has to get approved by him. So the answer to your question when it comes to Aaron Rodgers is they're kind of trapped by the cap, but you can see that Murphy wants to start to put his spin on the organization. He wouldn't have drafted a quarterback if he didn't want to signal that he wants the direction of the team, and then there's also the argument, which you can look at Aaron and you can say, well, he's not playing well because he doesn't have great skill, but his yards per attempt has come way down in the last 5 years. He doesn't make nearly the amount of plays he used to make down the field. Is that the skill players around him? Is that the offense? We thought it was the offense because McCarthy's offense was too vanilla. But last year he had one of the lowest yards per attempt in his career. So, I think it's a challenging job for Matt LaFleur. Matt LaFleur doesn't have enough experience in the locker room to walk in and tell Aaron what he wants to do. Aaron's got more experience than Matt does, and I think that's a tough dynamic. But I think that's what Mark Murphy wanted.
Well, yeah, Mark Murphy. It's interesting when you mentioned him. He's the president, and if you had to point to someone in an organization that's like the owner of the Packers, don't you think Mark Murphy resembles the closest thing that he's basically what an owner is for every other team?
And that's what it's always been in Green Bay. But you never heard from the owner. When Lombardi got there in 59, the first thing he told the board was, you guys aren't coming over here. It's a little bit like in the movie Hoosiers when all those townspeople wanted to coach the basketball team, right? And Coach Dale sent them all away, right? He said, no, I'm coaching the team. You guys just watch. Well, that's what was happening in Green Bay in the 50s. That's why they had one of the losingest franchises ever. And then Lombardi changed that. And then that paradigm stayed the same, even when they messed it up. When they hired Tom Bratz and Lindy Infante and it wasn't successful, they came back with the same dynamic. That's when they hired Wolf and they hired Holmgren.
Now, I know you're a big Philly guy. I know you like some of your Sixers ball. What do you think about Ben Simmons kind of experimenting with him at power forward? Are you excited for when these guys get games rolling in the bubble?
I think they really look like they have a chance to do something, if assuming that the big man, if depending on whether he's got a cough or not, because he could, he could not play any game at any particular moment. You could never know that. I mean, he would drive me insane. I got a hangnail today, I can't play. But I mean, Simmons is a unique player. I mean, he can play all 5 positions. I mean, when I watched him practice one day, AJ, it was the fastest human I've ever seen run a court. I've never seen a guy take 3 strides and get from one end to the other. And now that he plays power forward, he gets a good matchup. And that puts Tobias Harris at the 3. So now he's guarding guys that he's capable of guarding, and it helps him out. And it helps their defense a lot more because even though, Simmons is not truly a power forward, he can handle that role because he can run it. And then when they go fast break, he is still the point guard. So they get the ball to him on all the breaks. And I think Shake Milton is one of the best stories of the NBA. Here's a guy drafted in the 2nd round. Larry Brown coached him at SMU, one of the best basketball players in the state of Oklahoma. Goes to SMU, gets drafted in the 2nd round, and it was told back in February he was never going to play again. And then he got an opportunity, and he proved it. He's a good shooter. He can space the floor. They look like a better basketball team now than they ever have any point during the last year.
Mr. Lombardi, are you surprised that after Jamal Adams came out and said Gase is not the leader for this team, so every other team in the league knows that that's probably not going to work in that locker room, that the Jets were still able to get a starting safety in the NFL, 2 firsts and a 3rd for Jamal Adams?
I'm really shocked by that because Jamal Adams is a really good player, but he's a rundown player. He's an in-the-box safety. He had 7 passes broken up and 1 interception that was just dumped in his lap. He makes no plays in the passing game. He makes sacks, and he can rush the passer through the scheme. I was really surprised, and I wrote about it in The Athletic and felt like, the best place he could play was in the old Cam Chancellor's role. But I think Seattle ended up paying, a huge price. It was like, I need a car, and they paid for a Tesla when they really could have got by with a Buick. I mean, it's like, seriously, you paid all this, it's not the reason why you were giving up 5 yards per carry in the run. Your defensive front needs to get better. I like Adams in the role that he's in. I'm shocked that I asked myself this question, who are they bidding against? Who was the competition? When you get 2 number 1s, there has to be another team competing. Like, nobody just walks down the street and says, hey, would you like 2 of my number 1 picks? There's got to be something going on there. That's what surprised me.
Michael, with all the Patriots players that are now opting out, there's been this buzz around the internet of tank for Trevor. What are your thoughts on Bill Belichick tanking for the number 1 pick?
I mean, look, Twitter is probably the most disappointing thing you could ever do. It is so unreliable that, you just sit there and shake your, I was almost going to tweet about the NFL top 100 players, and I thought, no, I'm just not going to do it. It's ridiculous. I mean, the list is so bad. Why would I even engage? And the fact that Belichick is going to, look, let me say something. My man down in Jacksonville, David Blaine Caldwell, the general manager down there, the magician, he ain't going to get beat out he's not going to get beat out for Trevor Lawrence. So I can promise you that. He's going to do everything in his power to make sure he gets Trevor Lawrence. There's no chance the Patriots will ever possibly tank. No chance.
Thank you.
I don't think players can't tank. Like, you can try from the front office in different sports, but football, it's just not a real thing. Players aren't going to tank. They don't know how to. They're all trying to keep their own job.
I mean, AJ, on Monday Night Football in Pittsburgh, Steve Young, a former player, the whole ESPN panel was up there complaining about how the Miami Dolphins are being disrespectful to their players, about how they put their players in harm's way, about how it was so unfair why they were tanking, right? It was a whole dissertation. I mean, they went into it in depth. I mean, as only that panel could do, right? Like, they made no sense at all. I muted it immediately. And then the Steelers, they go out there and almost beat the Steelers, right? And then no one offers a retraction saying, we're sorry, Brian Flores, you're not tanking, you're just trying to install culture. That's the biggest issue. You're not going to get an NFL team to tank. It's hard to do that. Players are competitive. Now,
coaches want the job. No one has that much job security.
The Redskins last year, that was tanking. That team was poorly conditioned. It was poorly coached. Until Bill Callahan came in there was no semblance of order. So it's a narrative that's helped by Twitter too.
Last thing for me, Mike, I know you just mentioned Washington with Ron Rivera there. He seems like he is wearing a lot of hats right now. He's dealing with a lot of things that most head coaches don't have to deal with. Like, how do you think this next season goes for them on the field?
I think it's going to be hard for Ron Rivera. Look, Ron never was the GM in Carolina. Marty Herney was there. He had an owner in Jerry Richardson. The owner kind of ran. They had a businessman. They had a president of the team. I think you're asking a lot for Ron Rivera. He's had 3 winning seasons in his 9 years down in Carolina. You know, and he made the playoffs 4 times. One of those times he made the playoff, his team was 7-9. I think Ron's a good coach. But I think the more you add on his plate, the thinner it becomes, and it becomes harder for him to do his job, which is essentially be the coach of the team, not be the brand manager, not be the logistics man, not be the the PR man. It's to coach the team. I think they need to hire a president. They need to get the owner away from the team, hire a president, and let that president handle and take some of the stuff off of Rivera's plate. That's not to say it shouldn't be Rivera be the spokesman. That's simply to say that they should just let him coach.
Yeah, hey, I agree. I think he's handling it well so far. But Mike, really appreciate your time. Thank you so much for coming on the show, man.
Appreciate you. Thank you.
All right, thanks. So Zito, when's our heart out?
30 seconds, I think.
Oh, great. Well, lots of time. They're good. At least we
10 seconds, actually, a little less.
10 seconds. All right, thanks everybody for the show. Okay, boys, appreciate you guys making this thing work. Zito, great work.
Hey, great job, AJ.
This is the Pat McAfee Show. I am AJ Hawk. I think Pat will be back tomorrow. Who knows what that guy is ever doing? But thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Hey, good work, AJ.